brother. You walk with your nose above another, don't you? You got a lot going. Me getting started here with our Proverbs projects with the first Devo. During these devotionals, I'm going to pick one topic I think our culture needs help on. So these are topical. The first one being Sabbath. When I went into writing the songs for Proverbs, I really had a burden that our culture pick up on some wisdom that we seem to be missing. I mean, case in point, I don't know if you've seen them, those videos of people cooking. They're not cooking. They're total disasters. Like, there's no one who has ever picked up a cookbook that would cook this way. And I'm just thinking, I hate to think this, but I'm wondering if there are people watching them thinking they're legitimate. And if that's the case, our culture is far removed from wisdom. And so that was a burden that I had with Proverbs. And so through these Devos, I'm going to pick up one key point, one key idea or subject matter that our culture could really get back to the fundamentals on and change their lives. So also, because that sounds arrogant, and does Sarah really know what she's talking about, I'm going to pick a Christian leader who one of the things that they did was take on this command and apply it to their life. And our first one out of the gate is Eric Liddell. He chose to obey God's command concerning the Sabbath. And we'll get, I'll explain my first viewpoint on that and all of that. And you'll be able to see how it worked out for him. So, Eric Liddell, there's a movie about him called Chariots of Fire. There's probably all kinds of publications, books. I think I've read a book. No, I have not read a book. I did watch the movie. But he competed in the 1924 Olympics. My grandparents were born around that time. And his best race was the 100 meter. But because the 100 meter was on Sunday, he chose not to participate. And when I first heard this, I thought, lame. That's lame. Rest the next day, buddy. I just thought it's the only commandment that has not moved over to the New Testament. There are a million pastors who rest on Monday. They got to work all day Sunday. It's lame. Lame. But my version of what's lame was not what was honored on that day. And so he chose to forfeit his best race, and they gave him the 400 meter to race. And you will find out what happened there. But our verse today is, I've been studying Psalm 119, and it's Psalm 119, 52. I remember your ancient laws. That's exactly the attitude I had toward the Sabbath. And I thought, Eric Liddell and I would not get along. I'd be like, this is legalism. This is lame. I'm not doing the thing. Except I've moved myself personally from a country that takes 0 Sabbath, 7 days a week. Some people have to take on 3 or 4 jobs. There is no rest, to a culture where you can't even go grocery shopping on a Sunday. Forget it. Everything's closed. Not going anywhere. And it gave me a space to reflect on this idea of taking the Sabbath. And then I started to recall in my own life where I was enslaved and I didn't know it. You see, Sabbath isn't about you keeping a rule. Sabbath is also about keeping the enemy at bay. None of us would call ourselves slaves. But are we at our workplaces beck and call day and night? Are we never able to make plans with our family because we have no idea what next week is going to look like? Then we're a slave. That's exactly what they did to the Black American slaves. In fact, some of them got Sunday afternoon off. But do you think they were able to? I clocked out. It's 5 o'clock. You think they were able to do that? And yet some of us live our lives not even knowing we are enslaved in our culture. And it breaks down our relationships. Nobody knows when to call us. We're working, we're not working, I don't know. Nobody knows when to make plans with us. Nobody knows when we're available. And we wonder why the family falls apart. We wonder why our relationships fall apart. We wonder why we're not serving in church. We wonder why. I remember I was going to work for a department store, and the guy point blank said, "You can't have a specific day off. I need you to be available all the time." Now, having gone from living in the States to living in Germany where everything's closed on Sunday, I was like, he wanted to enslave me. This department store, probably not him. This isn't right. This isn't right, and it needs to change in our culture. We need to be the kind of people that say, no, I need at least, I'm not talking about 3 days. I don't need 3 days off. I don't need every other week off. What I'm saying is that my family needs to know when I'm available. My friends need to know when I'm available. My church needs to know when I'm available. And I am not available all the time. I am not available all the time. God told God on the 6th day, you're done. He could have breathed it all into existence the first day. But God told God, he showed us that God told God, you're done. I am. And when we take a Sabbath, we return the praise to God, who is. And there isn't a thing that needs to be conquered without faith. There isn't a thing that needs to be done without faith. There isn't a thing that can't be done with faith. He can do more with our trust and confidence in Him than we can pile on through the week. And when you say no, and you pull it back, you're saying, I trust you. Because this isn't going away. I know that. But I trust you more than I trust my own efforts. And I trust my own way of doing things. And my 24/7 up till 2 stuff. Neglecting family, friends, church. I trust you. I remember having a conversation with, so let me continue reading the verse. I remember your ancient laws. I was like, this is ancient. Yet this, his name is Zayn, I guess, from Psalm 119. He was turning to these ancient laws. So if I can get it out of my head that these laws aren't worth listening to, I don't know if this is I know this was common when I was growing up. Oh yeah, the Bible says that, but yeah. And it's so fast. But this guy's turning to what's considered ancient. Turning to it. Oh Lord, I find comfort in them. And the only way we're going to find comfort in ancient laws is to understand that they're good for us. and that God means good for us. He wasn't wasting his breath when he gave us his laws. He is good and he does good. And as a kid, we're the last thing we are is comforted by rules. I have a teenager and almost teenager, and one of them fights every single rule every day. His name means sharp and bold, and the Lord has done it. Every single rule, and then he'll do it again the next day. And the only way, I heard a wise woman from my church say to her son, who was the same thing, she's like, you're a slave, I need you to catch this, to your no. Think about those laws, and we're, as we go through these devotions, think about those things you just don't want to obey. You're a slave. Here God is trying to show you your way to freedom. And you're not taking comfort in it. You've decided that his rules are uncomfortable. His way of doing things are not what you want. And there is no way you will find comfort in his law, his word, until you flip a switch on how you perceive the lawgiver, the one who is good. See, until my son understands that I'm on his side, we're not getting anywhere. And frankly, if he doesn't get a clue, I'm being really sober here. If he doesn't get a clue, the police will give him a clue. Because it's not really me he's fighting, is it? It's God. God put me here as a steward. It's the Lord. So who you need is Jesus. What you need, your life's a mess. You're never home. You're never at rest. You're frazzled. You're tired. You're exhausted, depressed, angst. I don't know what to say. It could be God's like, I just don't know what to say because I gave you this. There was a girl that I knew in college who never crammed for tests that were on Monday on Sunday. She's like, my boyfriend and I decided, she was dating at the time, we're not going to work on Sunday. Now it needs to be understood, because Sarah was the worst student ever, that you do something Monday through Saturday. But she didn't. There was no cramming for tests. There was no trying to get that book finished. There was nothing, papers, writing. She did not. How many college students do we know like this? Not very many. Because things have piled. They've got to work 3 jobs to get through college. And the 3 jobs are all kinds of hours. They don't have that. But God has given you something to make space. Or God is asking you to step out in faith. Because it says what it says, what it says. And if God told God to stop on the 6th day, you can too. You could stop you. And you can stop whatever is dragging you down. You can re-engage in your relationships because you have every Saturday or whatever it is off. The Doesn't have to be Sunday. You have whatever day off. Commit it. Commit it. Ask him to help you make a way back to the ancient laws in which you can find comfort from a God who is on your side. So these that I'm going to show are a picture of what running shoes looked like in the 1920s. Isn't it wild? Crazy. They got these little spikes on the bottom. Nuts. I don't know what they were running on, but that's what they look like. And so I'm not saying that they're Eric Liddell shoes, but it was actually my son's idea that I pick just one image from these stalwarts of the faith. And I wanted to tell you how it turned out. Eric, having turned them down for running on Sunday, signed up for the 400 meter, not the 100 meter, and he won the gold medal. Imagine what that was like, witnessing as a witness. And imagine what God can do if you commit to him that day of rest again. Peace out. Again,